Okay. So once again, I think we're recording. Let me make sure it started. Looks like it is. Okay. So once again, welcome all to our Berkeley City College 2118 Milvia Street Project Campus Town Hall. I think this is the third venue of this sort that we've had thus far. We wanted to come together and provide an update of our progress to date. And so we're excited about the project and happy that you could attend. Nice to see so many people in attendance. In case you have colleagues, once again, as I mentioned, who've missed it, this program will be recorded and it will be posted on our website. The PowerPoint presentation, as well as other highlights, will also be there. First off, I wanted to introduce myself and the team. So I'm Sean Brooks here with Berkeley City College, Vice President of Business and Administrative Services. We have with us here today, Jeremy Bordy of Kitchell. He'll be part of the presentation, as well as Bob Parks of Kitchell. We have Patricia from Radcliffe Architects, and then Kevin Wagner of Excel Construction as well. I'll be providing a brief overview of the project and then turning over to Jeremy, Patricia, and Kevin to complete the presentation. We'll have ample time at the end for questions. So our presentation will probably run 20 to 25 minutes, and then once again, questions at the end. But I really want everyone to focus in and zero in on, I would say, the last 5 to 6 slides. This is where we have our name, our proposed name of the building, as well as colors for the marquee sign. So everyone should kind of zero in on that so we can get some feedback. We love your feedback today, but you also have opportunity to complete a survey online to provide formal feedback. So we have everything kind of documented to know what the impressions are of the colors that we'll be showing pretty soon. We'll have that survey ready on our website to launch this, the Bill Peralta website. It'll be ready on Tuesday, September 6th. So stay tuned for that. We'll encourage you to fill that out and post any comments. Now, moving on to the agenda today. So here is a list right here of what you'll be seeing. So we'll go through briefly of some of our history with our campus engagement activities. Jeremy will provide an overview of our project schedule to date. And then we'll have Radcliffe and Patricia talk a little bit more about our site plan, design, floor plans, interior and exterior renderings. And then site logistics will be covered by Excel Construction, and then the opportunity for follow-up and design input, and then therefore, of course, questions at the end. Next slide, please. Just wanted to just briefly review our campus and community engagement thus far. Obviously, we've had multiple venues and forums, and we've been engaging with the BCC community since inception. This is students, faculty, and staff members. This project kicked off with board approval in the spring of 2021. And we've been moving fast and furious ever since then with the series of matchmaking events. This is where we brought in small businesses to show them what opportunities could be available, as well as building user groups, the facilities committee meetings, BCC roundtables. This is the third venue of this sort, and then also student engagement meetings. So no doubt you've probably participated in one of these resources or one of these venues, maybe multiple, but it's our goal to make sure that everyone is included, and we bring you along with us together through this process. This shows the collaboration phase. It took place from June to August, and all the different building user groups that were involved there. Next slide. Then the schematic design phase from about August to October, and the various places where we had forums as well. Next slide. And the design development phase, which took place in the fall 2021. And these are all the different places where we met, convened, and had input and impressions taken, what we showed. And then lastly, the construction document design phase, which took place in the winter on through the spring of 2022. And so this shows the individual groups that were brought together. We submitted plans to the state architect in July 2022, and we're looking forward to having those completed and approved and moving forward with our construction project. But I'll turn it over now to Jeremy, who will walk through that project timeline in more detail.
Thank you very much, Sean. And once again, thank you everyone for being part of this. It's very important. And I've said this to those of you that have been part of these meetings in the past. I've said this in the past, that this is an integral piece of the design meeting with all the end users, stakeholders, and getting impressions from all of you. So I want to thank you on that front. It's a lot of, you can see all the meetings that went into trying to figure out the design collectively with the campus. And that's been some heavy lifting on Ratcliffe part as well as XL Construction. Just quickly, you can see where we are in this process, and this is just kind of high level. I think most of you have probably seen this in the past in some of the previous presentations, but right now we are in this red Division of State Architect. So that's DSA review. So we're in for permit with Division of State Architect. We're hopeful that we'll be out of permit by February. That's somewhat of that's just based upon past history and experience. I think we should be hopefully seeing back check comments maybe in, what are we thinking, Patricia, and maybe in April. And once again, that's just kind of a target.
Yeah,
like
I mean,
November. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, November.
hopefully sooner. Yeah.
Yeah. In my head was April, but that doesn't work. So anyway, and then you can see that we're hoping, and it's all dependent upon kind of this Division of State Architect and permitting, starting construction in November of December is the goal, the end of this year with demolition. So that is kind of an overview of schedule. I'm going to now turn it over to Patricia, who's going to just kind of walk through the whole design and kind of where we've landed today with all of your input.
Okay, great. Thanks, Jeremy. Okay, so we're going to start high level site plan. I don't need to spend too much time on this. We all know the site, kitty corner from the existing Center Street at the intersection of Center Street and Milvia. So what we have done since the last time we met is really, as Jeremy outlined in the schedule, really developed this building and this new site, and really gotten into the materiality, the structure, all the details that really make this more and more real, and is what we submitted to DSA. So this is kind of, I'm going to walk you through kind of from the outside in and from far to close. This is an aerial that really shows the project in its context to scale with the adjacent buildings, and really highlight what got us here, which is this part of the project vision, which is to create a place that is welcoming, that is inviting, that promotes a sense of belonging, and that led us to a building that's very transparent and very open, and hopefully has that feeling where everybody feels like they belong and they can be a part of it. Next slide. Another big part of the project was to create a strong connection between BCC Center Street and the new building. So this is a view from Center Street, not quite at BCC entry, but just looking down the street. And one of the main moves that we did really very early on was to move that entry right to the corner, so that when you step out from from Center Street and look to the new site, it's very visible. You can see exactly where you're going. So that's what this particular render illustrates. Next slide. This is kind of a close-up of the whole building. Of course, looking at that transparency, looking at some internal artwork, hopefully to animate the building and to really start to develop that identity for the building. Next slide.
Okay, thank you.
I also want to show, we keep showing the previous slide, which is one corner, the most visible corner. There's also another side to it, the north elevation. The materiality here is primarily cement plaster with punched openings, but still trying to create kind of an elegant facade. And, speaking with the exec team, looking at opportunities, even on this facade, to announce, to have some potential signage or display so that we animate this elevation. Next.
Yeah, or even artwork, like you said. Yeah.
Right. Next, yeah. Okay, as far as the building program, this again is something that we've worked, as Jeremy and Sean said, with the users, met just numerous occasions throughout the design phases to really hone in on what is exactly part of this building, what is the program, how are they related floor to floor. And this has not really changed much. We really locked that in early on. There are classrooms on every single floor. It's a classroom building. But the second floor does have the Learning Resource Center. The fifth floor has the Society of Scholars, Learning Communities, and the sixth floor has the, primarily an admin suite. The first floor has student life, has a student lounge, the entry, the lobby, and of course, there's also the loading dock and some of that building support that is also much needed. Next. I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty details of every floor plan, but you can see this is codified with the legend to the right, with all the different program elements. And again, number 3, yellow classroom, there's one on every floor. And that's kind of the message of this building. It's all about learning, it's all about students, and it's all about the learning environments. Next slide.
And if I could just chime in quickly, one of the things, I don't want anyone to be surprised. There's no surprises here. So for those of you that have been in our user group meetings and have been in these roundtable meetings, really nothing, as Patricia said, I think in the beginning of this presentation, nothing's really changed programmatically. So I don't want everyone to think you went away for the summer and these floor plans are different. They really are not. They've been really refined. And so anyway, that's why we're kind of going through this quickly, just because.
Yeah, that's a good point, Jeremy. I'm rushing through it because, we have 20 minutes and we definitely want to be, leave the Q&A portion open. But you're absolutely right. What we've done from DD to CDs to kind of finalizing the DSA submittal is really the detail work. Is, what does the curtain wall look like? What do the wall assemblies look like? How do we build this? How do we document this so that it can be built? So that's been really the effort. This is another rendering, again, close up, starting to look at that building entry. Again, very transparent. Develop this wood expression at the entry that kind of welcomes you in. It's very warm. It's articulated. Hopefully adds some great character there at the entry. And I'll also say, back up a minute, Jeremy, that in terms of connectivity and connection to the existing campus, we did take some cues from Center Street, and you'll see the round concrete columns. That's something that is expressed in Center Street, and we've brought that forward to the new building as something that at the ground level really ties these two buildings together. Next. Again, this is an image now as you walked into the building of that entry lobby and that wood expression at the ceiling and the back wall welcoming you in. Next slide. This is just one of the spaces in the center. This is the LRC. So you can see it's envisioned with lots of activity in this open work area. We've taken some of the curtain wall and you are using that for a writable surface. We know that, it's all about the whiteboards in the LRC. So we've really tried to maximize that by using the existing building. And then finally, next slide. I meant by using the existing skin. And finally, I did want to point out that there is that 6th floor balcony outdoor element, which is so important in a building that's, zero lot line. This is the outdoor space. Of course, you have the park across the street, which is great. But for the campus, this is an important relief space, which will be used, multi-purpose for classrooms, for classes, events, and really as a place to just, come and get a breath of fresh air. So that's this balcony view. And this is kind of the summary of where we are with the building design. And as Jeremy and Sean alluded, we do want some input. So I'm going to ask you to go to the next slide, Jeremy. And we can get input on everything we've seen so far, but we have 2 specific questions for the group. One of them has to do with the building name. As you can see in the perspective and in some of the detail elevations from our consultant team, we have been calling this Berkeley City College West. So we would like to pause for a minute and just make sure that there's nothing kind of controversial. It is, this is what it is. It's west of the existing facility. So we want to maybe pause for a minute and get your take on that. And then we'll move to the colors for the building marquee.
And we did, if I could chime in, we did through feedback from not this specific group, but through user group meetings, through roundtable meetings, facilities meetings. I think at one point we were BCC West, and
That's
we
correct.
heard everyone loud and clear that BCC, that might mean something to those in this call, on this meeting, but to others, what does BCC mean? So that's where the design team, we're like, let's spell it out then. So Berkeley City College. Anyway, sorry.
That's right. And that goes back to that project vision, which is
Yeah.
really enhancing the presence of the college in the heart of downtown. This idea of we are here, we exist, we belong. So that's part of this. So we're just going to pause here and get some feedback on everything that we've shown to date, including the name.
And if ones have comments, if you could just raise your hand and then we'll call on you, or Patricia, maybe you can facilitate that, just calling people when they raise their hand. And Karen, sounds like you're up first.
Okay, yeah, just a couple questions. I haven't been to many of the meetings, so maybe it's been covered, but what's the difference in size of the buildings between this one and Center Street?
This is significantly smaller.
Probably
than
this is going to
Center
be
Street.
60,000 square feet. And then our 2118 Milvia will be 60,000 square feet. And then our existing building here at 2050 Center Street is approximately 150,000 square feet, Jeremy, is that correct?
I think that is about right.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's probably 2.5 times. So our current is 2.5 times
Okay,
bigger than the new building.
so our existing building is the main college, and this is an offshoot of the college. I'm just as I look at it, this looks, it's more visible than Center Street is, because Center Street is like in the middle of a block. And so I was just wondering which is considered the main building. Center Street will still be considered the main building?
Sean, do you want to take that, or do you?
Yeah, I would say so, because it's larger in scale. There's an auditorium here. Probably a little bit more services will be at our existing building here. And so I would say that this would be another addition to our overall campus footprint, but the main building would still be 2050 Center Street, just based on scale and size.
Yeah, okay, that's what I wondered. But when I saw student services in this new building, I thought, well, maybe that, student services is a huge part of the college experience. So I was just curious. And all that just relates to the title, which you're talking about, Berkeley City College West. It seems like this would be, the second building. And I just wanted to confirm that.
Okay.
Thank you.
I see Joe Bay, got your hand up.
Hi, it's kind of loud here. On the previous slide, it was showing support for the roof on the rooftop deck, and that's gonna mess up sight lines with the projection. So just FYI, those two poles that are there that I haven't really seen before in any renderings will make that projection impossible at the current.
I think they're shown a little wonky, and maybe I feel like they're out at the leading edge, Patricia. but
They are,
maybe I'm
they
wrong.
are. They're
Okay.
at the leading edge, Joe. So I think the perspective makes it look like they're right in the middle. They're
Okay.
actually on the leading edge, and the idea is that the projection would be to the right of those posts.
Yeah, if we could have that first pole more than 10 feet or 8 feet from the
Yeah,
wall would make the projection possible.
yeah. That's good point. I think the rendering is misleading.
More
Anybody else?
questions on the name? There is a question in the chat that we'll take after any more comments about the name.
And once again, there's going to be an opportunity, like Sean said, there will be a survey posted, so you'll have an opportunity to add your impressions and input on that as well.
Patricia, let's take one question from the chat, and then maybe we move on unless there's other questions.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at, Sean. Did you have one in mind?
Oh, I see from Lisa, she noted that in previous meetings, there was tables or benches in front, and she doesn't see these in new drawings. Are they still being considered?
What we have, and maybe we can go to some of the images that are further out. Jeremy, if you want to go back, maybe a few more, back, one more, there. Okay, so you can see there are concrete planters on both sides of the building. And the idea is that those are at such a height that you can sit along the edge of those planters. So they will have skateboard protection. So you know, hopefully you don't have a bunch of skaters on the planter edges, but that they can be used for seating. So we brought that, we're including that kind of as built-in, and then leaving that corner pretty open without furnishings, because there will be people coming in and out. But we did increase the size of the planters to accommodate that kind of the seating opportunity there.
Okay. And then there was one other question in chat. I think we may have covered it. But Drew asked, was Berkeley City College Milvia Street considered? Did that ever come up in any of our meetings?
As a name,
As a
no, it
Okay.
did not. I mean, certainly the 2118 Milvia Street is on the building address, so it's on the building, but not as part of the complete name.
Okay. And then Vincent just dropped a question in the chat. As for safety devices, have we determined the locations and quantity of fire extinguishers and defibrillators?
Yeah, that's all code mandated, so it's per code what we're including.
Okay.
Are there any other questions or comments or thoughts about the building name? Or anything else that you've seen so far?
I have a quick question. Has anyone consulted, I'm just thinking about the roof, building space and the space that I live in. I'm Janine from the Wellness Center. How has anybody consulted with the folks maybe from the crisis hotline or some suicide prevention folks to talk about like how high should it be to prevent someone from potentially jumping? We did lose somebody about 4 months ago.
Yeah.
Has any information been about that?
I can respond to that if that's helpful, Patricia.
Oh, great. Thanks, Stacy.
Thank you.
Yeah, so our building process is more internal to BCC, Janine, but there are building codes that we have to follow in terms of, Patricia, how do you say, like guardrail?
Guardrails?
Yeah.
Guardrails?
So there is a barrier that you don't quite see in the renderings that is there.
Thank you.
Yeah, and in fact, we exceed the minimum guardrail requirement significantly. So we're way above that precisely, because of those concerns.
Got a
Okay.
question in the chat as well. Do we want to cover those now or stick with it?
What uses are planned for the rooftop? Solar. So per code, the building has to be solar ready. So we're, reserving space for that, although not providing solar at this point. Otherwise, the upper roof, so not the terrace, but the upper roof is really not, not a place that would be accessible by the general public. I don't know if Jeremy or Sean want to add to that.
Yeah, I think there's been discussions around that. That would come as a separate project if there is PV panels or solar up on the roof. And that's why, I mean, I think code requires solar ready, PV ready, but so that, if that does happen, that will be part of a separate project. There is some challenges, obviously, along those lines, just with the limited footprint, but anyway, separate project if it does.
Mhm.
Vincent just had another
Okay.
question. And then maybe this will be our last one, and then we'll proceed on with the colors and then come back and engage the audience again. So Vincent's question is, are we putting on glass protection on the window panels against acid etching, physical etching, etc.?
Kevin Wagner, I don't think we have any protection on the glass.
No additional coatings other than what's required by code, but we do have the bird safe glass that's included in our proposal.
That's right.
Great.
Okay, so maybe we move on to the next set of slides. Okay, so, oh,
right.
sorry, go back, Jeremy.
There we go.
Okay, so it's interesting, the question about, which is the main building? Does Center Street remain the main building, or, because you hit it right on with your comment, this building is more, has more visibility. It's going to really help that presence, the question of presence in the college. And one thing that we're doing, we have the Berkeley City College West at the kind of eye level as you walk into the building, but we do have the opportunity to use the corner of the building kind of as a marquee, kind of recalling that we're in the thick of the cultural arts theater district of downtown Berkeley. So we're proposing this vertical element. As we said before, it doesn't say BCC, it actually spells out Berkeley City College. And what it is kind of superimposed two films. One that is a translucent color film, and the other is an opaque white letter for the letters. So it's a big element. It's a statement, and at night there's internal lighting that will hopefully make this kind of glow a little bit more. So we went, so then it's like, okay, what color do we do this? So we went to the logo. You can see there to top right, we have a couple versions of the logo, and we see the teal and the gold as options, as your main colors. So we've kind of gone from there to develop a few different options. This one we'll call option number 1, is a little bluer, a little less green, a little more blue, but it's very elegant, and it's still, I think, related to the logo colors. The next slide, it goes a little bit more green, and I can't match the color of the logo because we're working with within a range of available colors for these films. So the next one is a teal, so it's got a little bit more of the green that's part of the logo. And the next one takes you see that there's like kind of a bronzy gold that spells out Berkeley, or is the edge of the circle. So we're taking that and using that as the highlight color. So if you go to the next slide, you see all of them together. And again, you're going to have a chance to look at this and vote online. But if you want to give us first impressions and options 1, 2, and 3, we would love to hear that now.
And we do have backlighting for nighttime as well on all these options.
And Patricia, apologies if I missed it, but do we not have Berkeley City College written out on the south face as well?
No, it's only
Okay,
on that face.
Got it. I know we had discussed that in the past, but I think we landed.
Yeah, it ends
too
up
much.
being too redundant,
Yeah,
Jeremy.
okay.
So this is the this is the more visible edge, you know, as
Yep.
you're from Center Street, coming from Shattuck, you know, this is the one. Okay. So,
Looks like there's some informal votes online. Looks like 1 and 3 and a lot of 1 popping up.
oops. One, I get lots of ones here. Oh, somebody with a 3. 1 is winning. Is there a way to do a gradient from 1 to 3? Interesting. Well, you can definitely do, there's more that we can do if we go to a custom printing, but that becomes certainly more costly and you know, just more of a process to get us there. So what we're working with are the kind of the existing, there's an existing line of these exterior color films, and this is what's available. How well do these colors fade, if fade will happen? That's a great question. These are warranted for 5 years, but you know, they really can last for much longer than that. So, you know, I would say that it's at least a 10-year item. But you know, there is like the warranty of the product.
And it can easily be replaced, I guess, is the
That's
point.
true.
If it is a film, it is a surface application on the glass.
Okay. Great. Great. So I think we're getting lots of consensus around 1 and 3. I didn't see any votes for the teal, which more closely resembles the logo colors. This is good. Is there anything else, any other questions, comments, feedback on what you see? Otherwise, I think Kevin Wagner is going to talk a little bit about just construction logistics and how this actually happens, how we make it happen.
Let's take 3 questions in the chat that we can just answer real quickly. June's question was basically around an overall signage plan that would integrate both buildings so the students know which services are in which building. The question is that plan, and where would that directory be? Yes.
So there's nothing, I mean, so the scope of our work is this building, and we do have a building directory and building signage throughout the building. We have not taken on Center Street, but I imagine that part of that there, you know, there could be and there will be some signage there to, you know, direct students to Berkeley City College West for, you know, classrooms or other, you know, student life, etc. That's not currently in our scope, but you know, it's certainly something that can be easily incorporated into Center Street. I think it's a good point.
Yeah. Yeah, June, I think that's a good idea, and I think that's something that we'll work to kind of coordinate and organize so that directionally everyone knows what's where. Roberto Gonzalez had a question regarding which administrative offices will occupy the 6th floor. So as of now, the office of the president and the vice president of instruction will be at the 2118 Milvia Street building.
And the staff that comes with the team, right? Not just the 2 positions, but the team of people who we work together in those areas are moving together.
Exactly. Yeah. Replacement costs, I think we'll have to get back to you, June, regarding that.
Just, but a little insight, there is a 10-year warranty on that film.
Oh, it's 10. Okay, great. I thought it was 5. Thank you, Kevin.
And then the Question from Drew. Do we know which floor location that the international students office will be?
Stacy, I don't think that's part of
Yeah, that's
SOS.
not programmed for the new building. The international space would be repurposed space in 2050 Center Street.
Okay.
Per our plans. Mhm.
Right. Okay. So we'll move on to site logistics and then we'll open it back up again for further questions at the conclusion of our presentation.
Okay, so again, I'm Kevin Wagner. I'm the pre-con director for Excel. I just want to spend a few minutes talking about logistics because it will impact the neighborhood. Of course, we're doing a pretty major building right in downtown Berkeley. But we have been working very closely with the city of Berkeley because we will be impacting both the traffic lane and the bike lane on both Center Street and Milvia. The bike lane on Milvia Street, but the traffic lanes on Center Street. As you can see from this slide, the blue area that is directly adjacent to our yellow project site, we will be closing down that pedestrian access on that side of Milvia and Center Street for construction. We'll even have a construction fence that keeps pedestrians from using that sidewalk. There'll still be access to the parking lot to the north of us, which is our neighboring building's parking lot. But all pedestrians will be rerouted to the east side of Milvia and the south side of Center Street as you approach our construction site. We show a couple of crosswalks here that will be blacked out, and the crosswalk will be moved over to the in front of 1945 Center Street, I believe is the name of it, the city building right next to us. So that gets relocated there, and then across Center Street, you'll cross it at the south side of Center and Milvia intersection, and then again up at Addison and Milvia as well. Bus routes will stay in place. The current bus stop that is at the corner of Milvia and Center will continue. It's on the east, the northeast corner of that intersection, so that will remain. The bike lane itself will shift to the east, and where the current traffic lane is, the traffic lane will shift to the east as well. And there's a couple of metered parking spots there, along with one delivery spot that will have to be abandoned and will be used as our traffic lane, so that we're able to maintain the bike lanes, but we will lose a couple of parking spots during the duration of construction. I do want to point out one little thing about the actual construction fence itself. In this little rendering, this is kind of gives you an idea of what it's going to look like after we get our curtain walls up, and we'll have scaffolding there. So we've got this construction fence that is shown with your typical cyclone or chain link fence with the green fabric. We've priced up using plywood, more of a permanent, not permanent, semi-permanent surface that we can put a mural on it if we choose to help reduce the graffiti opportunities in the neighborhood. So we do want to talk with the district about if there's any interest in engaging the student population or the faculty in doing some type of a temporary mural on the construction fence. Something to consider. Pause and wait for any comments or questions. So just so you know, we have coordinated our impact on the farmers market. We're trying our best not to impact it as little as possible, actually. We do still maintain the first responders equipment access, both during farmers market period and also off hours as well. We don't anticipate doing any construction on Saturdays or Sundays. All of our work is anticipated to be done during normal business working hours. There may be some trades that will require a little bit of after hours activity, or we'll try our best to keep that to a minimum.
Kevin, there's a question in the chat.
Any other questions?
There's a question in the chat regarding the mural. Would there be a budget for supplies, paints, brushes, etc.? And also would a permit be needed?
Yeah, I anticipate there probably would be a permit. We'd have to coordinate with the Downtown Business Associates. Because I believe they're the ones that actually did the mural that's on the existing building that's going to be demolished. So I think we'd probably have to work closely with them to make sure that it's something that the community is accepting of.
And from a budget standpoint, this isn't something, at least it's part of the project from a budget standpoint. This would be something separate for that I'd have to work out, or we'd have to work out with Sean and the rest of the executive team.
From a duration standpoint, like Jeremy mentioned at the beginning, this temporary fence and configuration would be up like this from approximately the end of this year through the end of fall, probably Q3 to Q4 of 2024. So almost 2 years it'll be like this.
Correct.
Before it gets back to normal.
Yep. Okay. Next. Guess that's it.
But we have a few minutes left. If there's any other overarching questions, also remember that we will be posting a survey regarding the name and also colors to get formal input on our website by next Tuesday. And then we'll leave that up for a few weeks, and then we'll kind of tabulate the results and let you know where we land, namely with colors. So.
And once again, you can also, as Sean said, there will be a button on the Berkeley City College website, but there are updates that are posted, not just specific to Berkeley City College, but all the projects, Berkeley City College being one of them, on the Build Peralta website.
We'll pause for a minute or two to see if there's any other questions or comments.
Hi, good morning. This is Vincent.
Hey, Vincent.
Hey, good to see you all. I want to kind of follow up on what I meant, what I said about the glass protection. I just want to kind of emphasize that because the main building had experience with it. We had acid etching and another type of etching that had occurred on the 2050 building. And then we had, or in the past, on multiple glass panels. And we currently have some kind of film on the glass panel on the ground level. So I just want to let you know, and it has been a problem. And I'm pretty sure that there's a big potential for this type of problem for the new building. So I just want to emphasize that. And also about the maintenance of the exterior, I just want to ask about how do you envision the maintenance of the exterior of this building? Like, do we have like kind of crane attachment at the roof, or what methods will be presented to assist on the cleaning of the exterior?
Yes, Vincent, there is a system, a Davit system for exterior building maintenance. It's really for window washing, but exterior building maintenance. So
thank you.
So once again, we'll post regular updates to the website as we're making our way through the entitlement process, and when we get further into construction as well. So that will be pretty useful to keep up to date on what's happening at 2118 Milvia. And then we also will look to do another campus town hall in the future once we get to our next phase or stage of development through our process. All right. Well, I'd like to thank the team, Kitcho, Radcliffe, Exhale, Jeremy, Patricia, as well as Kevin for assisting in this presentation, and all of you who attended and provided great questions and thoughts and comments. If at any time you have more to share, you can feel free to contact myself or the website, and we'll be happy to once again answer those to the best of our ability. So with that, I think we will conclude, and we'll post this recording to our website once again. Thank you all.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.